Sea Monkey 101, how to raise your own sea monkeys. Hello and welcome back to Tea in the Deep Blue Sea with me, Victoria. It is an absolute pleasure to have you here in this new year. Thank you very much for sticking with me. I hope everyone has had a fantastic new year and Christmas and got to do some really nice things, spend time with family, got some nice gifts. Whatever you were doing, I hope you had a pleasant time. I had an absolutely fantastic Christmas. It was great, got to see some family, got some really amazing gifts, got some really great books to read, so I'm sure I'll update you about them on if you check my Instagram, you can see what books I'm reading, and I will let you know how good they are, and I'm sure there'll be some new ocean facts coming from them for you as well. So before we get into the video, I've got a few brine shrimp sea monkey facts for you. I thought if you're going to be raising these things, it would be nice to know what they are and where they come from. Cotton Eye Joe. So if you've got sea monkeys or aqua dragons or any of the similar kits, coral sea dragons over Christmas, this is the perfect video for you to learn how to raise them and be the best sea monkey parent you can be. Trust me, I feel like a proud sea monkey mama. I know, I'm really sad, but they bring me so much joy and I hope they will for you too. So, sea monkeys are a brine shrimp hybrid called Artemia MIOS. They were bred in a lab in New York. The MIOS stands for the New York Oceanographic Society. They are a marine microinvertebrate. They live in warm salt water. They can live up to 2 years and grow up to 2 centimetres. Sea monkeys are a hybrid that were bred in a lab, but the species they are based on, Artemia salina or brine shrimp, can be found in numerous places around the world. So they can be found in salt lakes and bodies of salty water that are isolated from the ocean. They can even exist in temporary pools of water. So now you've got a little bit about what they are and where they come from. Let's dive straight into the video and tell you about the 6 things you need to know when raising sea monkeys. So number 1, water. Tea is made from water. But you don't want to put tea in your sea monkey tank, you just want to drink it because it is so great. Not that I'm encouraging you to have a tea addiction. But this is my new mug that I got from Phil over at Incredible Inverts and Other Animals. It is a unicorn and it is absolutely beautiful. So this is one of my Christmas gifts that I got. I highly recommend you check out Phil's channel, it is amazing. I learned so much personally just from watching his videos. There's always something new and exciting going on. So go over and check his channel out. I will leave a link down in the description for you. So, water. There are a number of different types of water you can use when setting up a sea monkey colony. I'm not going to go into detail of what the different types of water are and the differences between them all. If you are interested in seeing about different water for different tanks, I will do a future video on that. Let me know down in the comments below. So you can use bottled water, distilled water or tap water. However, there are better waters to use than others. So I would recommend using distilled water because it is purer than tap water and it is the perfect thing for your sea monkeys. Bottled water, it can have a slightly lower pH, so it sits around 6.4, so it can make your tank a little bit acidic and that can harm your sea monkey. So be really careful if you are using bottled water. I did follow the instructions and use bottled water, but I found from personal experience that was damaging my sea monkeys. So I recommend using distilled water. If you haven't got access to distilled water or don't know how to make it, there is a video on my channel of how to make distilled water, but if you haven't got the time to do that, what you can do is use tap water, boil it and let it sit overnight to help remove some of those impurities. So packet number 1, the water purifier packet you get in a sea monkey set. With aqua dragons you don't get this. It is just an eggs mix, I believe, rather than a separate packets 1, 2 and 3. You have the eggs and salt mix, and I don't know whether it purifies or just adds the salt. But for sea monkeys specifically, packet number 1 is a water purifier. So what that does, it neutralises things such as poisonous copper oxides that can be in tap water and other elements such as chlorine and fluorine. So it will neutralise them and make them less harmful for your sea monkeys. It also adds the salt to the water, so it can be the correct salinity, which is the level of salt in the water. So this is about 35 parts per thousand, which is the level of salt in seawater. But you don't really need to worry about that unless you are setting up a DIY tank. But for setting up a tank out of the box, you just need to add packet number 1 and that will add the correct levels of salt for you. So they are the different waters you can use. You can use RODI water if you have it, if you use it for other things as well, but distilled water works just as well for sea monkeys. So that is number 1, water. Number 2, temperature. So the ideal temperature range for sea monkeys is 24 to 27 degrees Celsius, which is 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So the ideal temperature sits bang in the middle of that, which is 26 degrees Celsius or 78 degrees Fahrenheit. So you want to try and keep them within that range and as stable as temperature as possible, because high changes in temperature can actually cause the death of your sea monkeys, and nobody wants that. So it's really important to try and maintain a consistent temperature. So the higher the temperature within the range, the better, faster hatching time you get. So they hatch quicker in warmer water. So if it's below 18 degrees, you really need to consider trying to raise the temperature of your water. But you can do that with things such as like seedling heating pads. You can get under vivarium heating mats. You can get little microwavable heat mats. You can use tin foil to try and keep the heat in. I've got loads of other stuff like this in my tips and tricks video. So if you check that out, I will leave links to loads and loads of videos that I've spoken about down below in the description. So it's just going to be video. No, I'm joking, there's not that many. But yeah, temperature is really important. You need to try and keep it as stable as possible. So when you put packet number 2 in, it's actually got a dye in it. So this is a temperature indicator. So if it's blue, you need to raise your temperature. If it's red or orange, it is at a good temperature. So have a look for this dye when you put in packet number 2, which is the eggs, which is 24 to 36 hours after you've put in packet number 1. Number 3. So the best place for sea monkeys is somewhere with indirect sunlight. So you want them to get some natural light, but not direct sunlight, because this can cause too many temperature fluctuations and can harm your sea monkeys. So the best thing is a north-facing window where they will get sunlight, but not direct sunlight. So the light is really important to help the algae to grow, which is the favourite food of the sea monkeys. So they will graze on the algae when they are adults that has grown in your tank. So you do need natural light for this to grow. Don't worry, you don't need to add anything in to cause it to grow. It will just grow naturally in the water with light. So if you want to encourage this algae growth, you can use something like plant grow lights, which are blue and red spectrum LEDs. So if you put them on together, you get a really nice pink hue over your tank, which looks super cool. So yeah, plant growth lights are really good for encouraging algae to grow, but it's not essential. You can just use natural light, but just be very careful what window you're placing them on. If you are placing them on a window, that it doesn't receive direct sunlight, because this can cook your sea monkeys. So be very careful of the Number 4. Oxygen. So it is really important that there is oxygen in the water so that the babies can breathe. We breathe oxygen in the air, they breathe the oxygen that is in the water. So we need to promote this gas exchange from happening, so the oxygen from the air goes into the water. So it's really easy and simple to do. Just stir your water. So sea monkeys recommend doing this for the first 4 days after you've put the eggs in. So just stirring the water. You can use the paddle end of your sea monkey spoon, or if you've got one of the other type of sea monkey spoons, you can just use the bigger end, or you can use something like a pipette, or if you did get the million bubble pumps, or one of the bubble squeezy tools that come in the Castle and Mars tanks, I believe it is, you can use that to push air into your tank, or you can use that to stir it. It really just depends on what you want to do. So some people continue this while their sea monkeys go into adulthood and for the rest of the life of their tank, which can be up to 2 years. And if you have, they have babies and their babies have babies, and you've got grandbabies and great-grandbabies, it can be a very long time. So some people do this once a day still, twice a day, 3 times a day, multiple times a week, once a week. It really depends on your sea monkeys. I have mine on air stones daily, but that's just what's right for me. So one thing of noticing if they need more oxygen is looking at their behaviour. If they are quite lethargic, or if their colour is perhaps turning to a pinkish reddish hue, you know you need to oxygenate their tank more. So it's really important for the first 4 days that you do make sure while they are babies that you stir your tank. So that is Number 4, oxygen. Number 5, feeding. So you need to wait 5 days to feed your sea monkeys after you have put the eggs in. This is to make sure that you don't suffocate the babies. So you should use the small end of the feeding spoon and just put in the tiny little scoop into the water. What you can do is pre-mix this with a little bit of distilled water, not tap water, use distilled water, and just pre-mix it in and then pour that little vial into the tank so it disperses more evenly throughout the tank. But you don't need to do that, you can just pop the powder in the top of the tank. So the water should be clear when you feed. If it is cloudy, you are overfeeding. You don't need to feed them much. That is one of the most common causes of death in sea monkeys, sadly, is overfeeding. So you should only need to feed them once a week. So if you are going on holiday, it's absolutely fine. Feed them before you go, feed them when you come back after the week. Should be absolutely fine. So the food supply you get with the original Sea Monkeys tank, I believe, lasts a year, and you can get some more on their website, which I will also link down below. So there are a number of different types of alternative foods you can feed sea monkeys, which I will do a future video on that, on sort of things like phytoplankton and various different foods that you can feed sea monkeys if you want to mix it up a little bit or don't want to use the original sea monkey food. They also do a number of other packets like banana treats and vitamins, all sorts of awesome stuff like that, which you can get on their website, and I have a whole box collection, as you may have seen in my rainbow box tour. So yeah, that is number 5, feeding. Number 6. So number 6 is evaporation. So water naturally evaporates, and when it is at a warmer temperature, it evaporates faster than if it is at a colder temperature. So sea monkey tanks tend to be quite warm, so they can evaporate quite quickly. So what you need to do is, when you notice it has gone down below the fill line, you just need to top it back up with water. So I'd recommend using distilled water. If you've only got tap water to hand, make sure you boil it and leave it overnight before adding it, although I really wouldn't recommend topping up with tap water. If anything, use bottled or distilled, although ideally distilled water. So one important thing to make sure you do is make sure it is the same temperature, because although they can withstand a high change in salinity, they can't withstand temperature change very well. So make sure it is the same temperature as your tank. So just leave it sitting next to your tank for a while. Don't pour it straight out of the fridge or anything like that. Just leave the water sitting next to the tank a while so it warms up or cools down or whatever it needs to be. And you can always use an aquarium digital thermometer to check the temperature of that. So that was number 6, evaporation. That was the Sea Monkey 101 guide. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something new. If you've got any more questions about how to take care of these awesome pets, let me know down in the comments and I will get back to you. I love to hear all your sea monkey stories and about your tanks. I just love to hear from you guys. So thank you again for watching my video. If you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up and remember to subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. Leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you again for watching. It's been Victoria with Tea in the Deep Blue Sea. Bye bye for now. Bye. Blah, 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 blah.